Well, greetings and welcome to everyone who's joining. This is the last webinar that we're doing as part of our Growing Globally campaign, Wash Beyond the Walls. And I'm excited to have those that are joining, those who are continuing to sign on, whether it's the first time you've joined one of these webinars or if you've been with us the whole way through. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Today we've got a special treat with our Cambodia office, who is going to be sharing about the work that they're doing in WASH, and I'm excited to hear about the new things that are going on. It's every time I talk with the team there and with Kathleen, it seems like there's more and more stuff that's happening, and I'm always impressed at the amount of things that are going on, and just some really neat things within the community development space. Yeah, we're just really excited to hear about that. So my name is Jason Chandler. I'm the Deputy Director of Programs for EMI Global. And my role is really to help EMI grow into the space of community development. And I'm excited to be a part of that and to walk alongside some of our offices as they are growing in this. And this is just, one example. We heard last webinar from our Alaska team and what's going on in that region of the world, and then today hearing from Cambodia and the things that they've got going on, and yeah, super impressed with the team that they've got. Kathleen is doing an amazing job leading that, and yeah, and Mark and David and Aaron are all online, and we'll let them introduce themselves. But yeah, let's start it with a word of prayer, and we'll get going. God, we thank you for the things that you are doing at EMI across the world, and that we get to be a part of, and that we get to join in and see you doing amazing things, and bringing restoration to people and to communities. And yeah, we just thank you for the opportunity to hear today from our Cambodia team, and just I pray that you would speak through them, and just allow us to be able to be impacted by the things that are going on there, and the work that they're doing, and the challenges they're facing, and yeah, just that you would have your way in the work of EMI globally. Yeah, we thank you for your goodness and your involvement in our lives. We love you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. So with that, I will turn it over to Kathleen and let her take it away.
Thanks, Jason. Yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar today. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Kathleen. I've been with the EMI Cambodia office since the beginning, and I wanted to just introduce the team that we have here. Although I'm the one who will mainly be speaking tonight, this really has been a team effort, and so I'll just allow the team to introduce themselves now.
Hi everyone, my name's Mark Jericho from Australia. I've been in the Cambodia office for 3 years with Petram, and my background actually as a mechanical engineer, but yeah, really my passion is working in the water distribution, getting clean water to people. So yeah, really excited to be part of the team here.
So hi everyone, my name is David, and I've been with EMI Cambodia since March early this year, and I am the community and project development at EMI Cambodia. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Erin Kennedy. I'm from the United States, and I am interning with Cambodia, EMI Cambodia, and I actually was supposed to leave in December, but I'll be coming back for another term to be helping out with the WASH team.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm really thankful for the team that got us brought together. And I just wanted to take a quick moment to acknowledge our previous interns who have come through the WASH program and really helped establish it. And so on the screen on the far left is Jordan. And Jordan was with us late last year. And then we have Matt Chan, who was an intern with us, and then he came back after his internship. And you might remember Matt from, he hosted a webinar on behavior change earlier this year. And then Sammy is right in the middle of that picture, of the middle photo. And Sammy was with us earlier this year. And then we have Caleb, who was here for a couple months earlier this summer. And now Aaron, who will be with us also next year. So I also wanted just to take this opportunity to thank Jason for supporting us and being our WASH EMI go-to guy, and all the volunteers in the EMI network who have helped over the years. We're just so thankful for each of you who give your time and your expertise to support EMI around the world. And we've been really just the beneficiaries of that. And so we thank you for that. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about where this all started, and then kind of where we're heading. So we, about a year and a half ago, Mark and I were released from our previous roles working with EMI's typical building projects and given the opportunity to solely focus on developing a WASH program. So we'd already done some networking and learning a bit about the WASH scene here in Cambodia for a few years prior to this. So we had some connections already and a little bit of understanding about what was going on in WASH. So as we continued meeting with different people and organizations, we spent quite a bit of time learning who's doing what's being done, what are some of the gaps and challenges that organizations are facing here in WASH, and just continually asking and praying where EMI can contribute to Cambodia's WASH goals, while also using it as an opportunity to get beyond the walls and face-to-face with communities. And so from these meetings, we wanted to develop some focus areas that could at least be a starting point for us to kind of shape where we wanted the program to go. And so we kind of created these three focus areas or buckets. We've been calling them sometimes internally as our team. So the first one is developing people through practicums and training and projects. And the second one is supporting private water operators and NGOs with technical support. And then the third one is more providing our community projects, so providing communities with safe water and long-term planning. And so during this presentation, I'll be sharing a bit about each of them and how they've helped us get beyond the walls and the impact we're starting to see. And I also just want to mention that we've really, this is really a startup program for us, and we've continued to have that attitude of say yes, let's figure it out, let's try things. And also, as if you get to know Mark, you might hear him say fail forward attitude. So just being willing to try new things, but being intentional all the while to learn from every opportunity. And so this is not kind of the set thing, but it's what we're starting with and where we're going to push kind of into and see where God leads us further. So for our first area of focus, developing people, we started last year in December. We hosted a groundwater practicum. So what we found were organizations were asking us for help on troubleshooting issues with wells and wanting to know how much water can a well yield. And people were just drilling wells all over. And we realized that there was an opportunity for our team to learn more, because we were always utilizing, contacting a hydrogeologist named James, who's from New Zealand, and asking him so many questions, and he was so gracious to answer all our questions. But we started thinking, I think there's an opportunity here to bring in experts to train our team, but then also we can invite others from other organizations to join the training. And so it'd be a good also networking time together. And so we had James come from New Zealand, and Will Kirchner came, and Jason also came, and they each led sessions related to groundwater and wells. And it was just such a great way to network with other people, get to know other organizations in the water supply sector. And we're now actually working with one of these organizations who came to that groundwater practicum, and we're often referring back to some of the lessons that we learned, saying things like, remember that session when we talked about well installation, like these are the reasons. So it's kind of a good opportunity to bring back some of those things we learned and have a common language. And so it's just such a gift to have these volunteers and Jason from the EMI network come and train our team along with other Cambodians working in this field. In addition to that, our team has done some trainings on WASH this year. So David and I, we attended a training on how to deliver WASH training. And then we also did one on the community health evangelism, which also is known as transformational community development. If you remember one of the previous webinars where Trey was leading, he was talking about this model. And so it's just such a great way to meet people and learn from them. We noticed that a lot of the participants at these trainings were people already doing WASH work in communities. And so we had the opportunity to ask them firsthand, what are their challenges? How do they overcome them? What are things we could learn not only from the training sessions, but also just from the people who were there? And so as our team looks to develop more and keep learning, we just want to share that with others in Cambodia. So we're thinking of maybe some future practicum ideas that we'd like to do. A few ideas are doing like operations for water treatment, or maybe doing a second practicum on well drilling, because there's a lot of that going on here. Maybe a training on WASH, like how to deliver WASH training, monitoring and evaluation, what that looks like in the field and the office. And so if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I can come do a training on that, please let me know. We'd love to hear from you and get more people involved in what God is doing here with our team. So the second area of focus is the technical support. And so mostly this is supporting private water operators, which are often referred to as PWOs here, and NGOs with technical support and networking. So PWOs are typically individuals or families who have a license from the government to supply clean water to districts. So it could be like 20 plus villages. It could be up to, 10,000 households. And so we became members of the Cambodian Water Association as professional members, and it's a bit of a network association for these private water operators. And through that, we've gotten to know some of these private water operators. And in order to kind of get to know them more, because they are supplying the majority of the water in rural Cambodia, we offered to do some free assessments of their treatment plants and provide some recommendations. So we tried to visit as many as we could and just use this as an opportunity to learn more about the typical treatment methods and their common challenges. And so some of the things that we learned through this process of visiting the treatment plants is that many aren't adding disinfection because the customers are complaining about the smell and taste of chlorine because they're not used to it. And so another common issue that we ran into were just the lack of monitoring water losses and not really having a good system to track that. And so we're just kind of gathering this information about what these challenges are. We're here as a support to them. And so we hope to continue getting to know more private water operators and see if there's ever in the future a time to support them. Another way we've been growing our WASH technical capacity is by getting to know suppliers through partnerships. And so one of the things that we've done is we partnered with a PE pipe company called K&K Pipe. And so we got to visit their factory and get to know their product. And they've helped us introduce us to people in the WASH sector, especially to private water operators, because these operators are buying pipe from them. And so they have already an established relationship with them. And so from this partnership with K&K, we were actually introduced to a young Cambodian couple who just received a license from the government to supply water. So one of these, they were allowed to build a water treatment plant and then supply water to 19 villages. And so this is a picture of the site of their property, and it's long and narrow, and then you can see the water source on the right-hand side. And so this is a cross-section of the design. It's a concrete structure. It's very conventional and typical for water treatment plants in Cambodia to be concrete. And so I'll show you that. And then here's a concept of the site plan. So I don't know if you can see my mouse, but here's the reservoir that's already built. And then we have a sludge pond, and then just the footprint of the water treatment, and then also the clear well. So I just wanted to highlight Sammy, who was one of our interns earlier this year, developed this water treatment design tool which we were able to use for this project. So she did this incredible job of putting together so many reference materials and the spreadsheet with all the different tabs, which include the different processes that we see in water treatment plants here in Cambodia. So it was a super exciting project for us. It was the first time we've ever done a detailed design of a water treatment plant. And there's so many blessings and opportunities, and I just wanted to share a few with you that came from this project. So first and foremost, another shout out to EMI's network of volunteers. You are such a blessing to our teams. So just thank you so much for contributing your expertise and your willingness to review designs, ask good questions, support our team in so many ways. So we put this project up on the EMI website, maybe you've seen it, and received some great interest. And for example, we had Paul, and Paul roped his friend Tom into helping us, and they just answered so many questions. They asked us great questions to make sure we were staying on track. They reviewed our designs, and they're just super helpful. Another instance was I was really struggling with sizing the flocculation tank to make sure that we can get proper mixing hydraulically. And I think I was dreaming about flocculation for like 3 weeks because I just couldn't figure it out, and it was so frustrating. And then thankfully, Bruce, another great volunteer, he sent me some photocopies of an old textbook that walked through that process, and I was able to work through those calculations and come up with the sizing. And so just really thrilled to see the body of the EMI network come together and really support this project. And then second, I just wanted to talk about the design team, the interns that God brought through our office who just wrapped their head around this design and helped. They're so incredible. And also Mark, who was on home assignment for the first half of the project, when he came back, he just jumped in and thankfully ran with the rest of the design work, especially with the plumbing and mechanical. And then one of our structural engineers who was on this project, he got called to work for the government halfway through the project. So as a project manager, I was a bit worried that I was losing my structural engineer halfway through the project. But God totally provided. And one of the junior engineers, structural engineers, a young guy, he just graduated university. He just really took charge and stepped up. And it was just such a blessing to see him take the lead and really step up in that way. And it was also super great to have Beth, another volunteer, to step in and review the designs and the drawings and the calculations in such short notice. So thank you to Beth for helping with that. And so another just interesting story that came from this project was that I was seeking out companies to do a jar test for us because we don't have our own jar testing equipment yet. And as I was reaching out to a certain company and asking them, do you provide this service? They said, yes. We are going back and forth. How much does it cost? How much, water sample do we need? And they came back to me and they said, oh, my boss just told me that he was at your groundwater practicum last December, so we'll do this for free. And so it's just amazing to see the fruit that's still coming from this groundwater practicum and the way it's impacted people. And so the next steps for this water treatment project is we've received some bids already from contractors, and we're just waiting on the client to select a contractor, and then we'll be involved with CM, and we hope to do operator training with them. And as we want to do more than just design and of the project, we really want to interface with the communities. We offered the client to do some wash training in the villages that will be receiving this water. For example, training on chlorination, because that is such a big deal that people aren't used to, or even safe water storage. And so we're hoping to do that once the plant gets close to being finished. So for our third area of focus, which is providing communities with safe water and long-term community planning, I just wanted to share a bit about what we've done and what we're currently working on, and then where we're heading. And so earlier this year, when Matt Chan was in our office, he led us through a series of sessions where we identified some goals and outcomes. And so our main objectives that we came up with are spiritual engagement, technical implementation, community development, and behavior change. And the strategy document, so we created a whole document after many sessions, and Jason was part of this, which was great. It's still very much a work in progress, but it's just good to think through and remind ourselves, like, what's the point of all this? Where are we headed? Why are we doing this? And so we've kind of used it as a guideline as we've moved forward, trying to figure out what does it look like for us to be doing community projects. And so in previous years, our water-related community projects were us helping other organizations with a small piece of the project, very much acting like consultants. And so I just want to share an example of a project that I think really highlights this and why we want to not just be consultants and support technically as we've done in the past, but why I think EMI really adds value to truly partnering with organizations and being implementers of WASH. So last year, we were hired by a Christian local WASH NGO who had started doing community-wide projects. And so they were had a lot of experience doing WASH projects at the household level, and they just started doing community-wide water distribution projects. And so they wanted help with overseeing the well drilling and then telling them how much water the well could produce. And so we drove up to the site. It was 6 hours away, and with some miscommunication, when we got to the site, the well was drilled and the driller was gone. And so there we are. You can see in the photo is us standing around this well, and there's no driller to even ask any questions about what it is. So we're trying to piece together a well log by asking the locals as much as they remember whatever the driller told them while he was drilling. And then we did do a pump test. So we were able to give the client some just basic recommendations on how much water they could pump from this well. And that was basically all. And then everything got built beautifully. They had hired a contractor to kind of do everything. So our involvement was just that really small piece of the project. And so this is the site after. So you can see the tank stand, and the little box is the well head, and then there's a couple of storage buildings. And everything looked really amazing. All the households had tap stands that looked really good, and they were ready to receive water. But then what happened was earlier this year, we got a call from this organization, and they said the pump is stuck in the well. And first of all, the pump broke, and now it's stuck, and we can't get it out to replace it. And this is the second pump that broke. We replaced the first one, now the second one is stuck. And the contractor is done his job, and the warranty period is over, and we don't know what to do. And so it was hot season. They had also told us that there wasn't enough water for people in the village. And when the water was flowing, it wasn't going all the way to the ends of the village, to the end of the distribution. And then on top of that, they said, our donors are showing up in a month to come see this project. So can you help us? So it was a bit of a scramble, but we made a couple of site visits to troubleshoot the issues. And we worked really closely with the local water management committee, which is a group of locals who are selected by the community to operate and maintain the system after the organization leaves. And we worked closely with the organization. They were also there helping solve these problems. So the three groups of us, we worked together. We tried to get the broken pump out of the well. Sadly, we could not. And so we had to abandon that well. We drilled more wells. We installed valves at the end of the lines because we were suspecting that air had gotten in and was preventing the water. And then during this process, we also noticed that there were some pipes that were leaking from just really poor quality pipes. So the water management committee was able to replace those pipes that were leaking. And so what ended up happening was, in the height of dry season, everything got resolved and water was flowing again to the whole village, and everyone was receiving water again. So it's just a success story there, and the community is very happy. And we really enjoyed working with this local WASH organization, and just saw their strengths in that. Just seeing like how they worked with the communities, how their understanding of village dynamics, and how they communicated with authorities, and how they developed committees within the communities. And so we wanted to keep working with them and see what it might look like to partner together as we implement more community scale water supply systems. But we were also clear with them that we don't just want to just be involved in the technical piece or small piece. We want to be involved in the whole project, not just parts of it, and definitely not just the technical, even though our team is mostly technical, and that's just the natural thing we have to offer. We wanted to keep working with them and just learn from them more about community projects and development. So we really want to shadow them and learn from them as much as possible through this. We're kind of calling it a pilot partnership. So they have received funding. Oh, sorry, there's more pictures of us that I forgot to share about installing more of the valves and then putting in the new well. So this organization got funding to do another community piped water system. So we're recently just started this pilot partnership. So we want this partnership to help us learn more about what it looks like to work in a community, how to interact with committees, and who will own and operate the system after it's installed, and how to interact with authorities in the government, and just how to measure impacts in the community after the project and throughout the project. And so this organization selected a community who fits the requirements. We weren't really involved in this process because we were still working out like what the partnership would look like and if we wanted to kind of move forward with that. And so they had already selected a community by the time we kind of agreed on this. It's a remote village in the far northeast of Cambodia. It's called Lom Village. And people there are a minority group of people called the Jarai people. And they're mostly, so it's only like 4 kilometers from the Vietnamese border. And the women there do everything. And they're definitely the ones who are in charge of collecting water. And they get their water mostly from springs. So you'll see in the photo, they're collecting water from some of the springs. Now, some of them, depending on where the springs are, some households are walking up to an hour there and back to get water for their family. And sometimes they're doing this 3 times a day. And so the other thing is that these springs are just on other people's property. And so water security is a concern here because they're not ever sure if they'll always be welcome to go on other people's property to get this water. So our team visited the community shortly after they had kind of selected it, just to meet with households and learn about their current water sources and uses and just what they thought about what it would mean to them to have piped water coming right to their household. And they were very excited, especially the ladies. And so during that trip, we also learned from this organization who we're partnering with how they went about selecting the community and just learning how they know which ones would be good to work with and how they find those champions in the village who can really like help lead the project and get the community involved and excited. And so at this point in this partnership project, we're currently wrapping up the distribution design, and the tank stand design is being completed by another awesome volunteer, Ian. And so we hope to start drilling deep wells early next year. So next month we'll be selecting contractors and drillers, and then starting in January, we'll start the drilling and construction. And so in addition to this specific village piped water project and the kind of the hardware of it, we're really also intentionally planning on developing a monitoring and evaluation process alongside this organization. It's something that we know we need to develop at EMI and figure out. And so this organization, as I mentioned, they have a lot of experience at the household level and even the school level of WASH, but they recognize that there is a difference between that and the community-wide level projects. And so they've told us that they have all sorts of different ways of doing surveys and monitoring projects, but they haven't really been good at figuring out a good way to document them and report them. And so we're really hoping to work together to do this. So we're thinking of starting that in January. I'm not sure exactly what it will look like, but we really want to see how we can work together and encourage each other to develop a good way to measure impact within the community and really see success within the WASH projects. So in addition to this partnership with this organization, our team also wants to be really proactive at seeking out communities to work with and just to have more opportunities to get beyond the walls, get to face with communities, to build those relationships, to engage with them, to develop themselves and their community. And so the question is, though, that we were asking is like, how do you actually get into a community? Like, do you just drive around and like say, hey, and like, can we work together? That's super awkward, and that doesn't work here. So you might remember if you were joined Trey's webinar, one of the previous webinars about finding a person of peace to introduce you to a community. And so we were trying to figure out who can introduce us to communities. And so we thought of pastors and local churches. And so we had some kind of connection that allowed us to meet some pastors in some villages. And then we started going to a few Sunday worship services to meet with them. And after visiting a few of them, one of them thought, we know a village nearby who there is a church building, but there's no church. And I think there would be a good opportunity to do some form of WASH work or development work there. So there's currently a local couple who visit this village every Sunday to teach the kids about Jesus. So they use the church building to teach these children about Jesus. And after learning about the kids there being used to gathering already at this building, we thought we could maybe teach the children WASH lessons and use it as a way to kind of enter the community, to get to know the community through the children and then the adults who come by and drop them off, or just time in the village walking around. And so David and Aaron have done an incredible job at developing a series of WASH lessons for the kids, and have started going out to the village on Thursdays to provide these WASH lessons. And so we're hopeful, they've gone out once and they'll be going out again this Thursday, that just our frequent visits to this community will start to get to know people and just learn some of the challenges or areas that they may be interested in developing, and really starting to build that trust with them. And so we see our time in this community as another way to bring Christ's light to these people. And so I know as engineers, and maybe this is similar for yourself, but I know for myself, I'm tempted to really get excited and focus on the hardware of projects and the design and the implementation. But as I remember our main goals that we've set out and objectives, we really want to see people's lives transformed spiritually and physically. And so implementing WASH projects without taking the opportunity to engage relationally and point people to Christ, the living water, then our work is totally in vain. And so this would be a prayer point for us, for our team, that we would be intentional about developing these relationships for the sake of the gospel, and just looking for opportunities to point people to Christ. I wanted to take some time to just share some challenges that we have. And the word challenges sounds a bit negative, but they're really just realities of the context we're working in. And so just to share kind of a little bit more so you get an idea of where we are situated here in Cambodia. There are many, many WASH NGOs doing work in Cambodia, much of them without any technical support. And they've just been kind of doing things without having any technical support for many years, just figuring things out. And for some, that's been working out, but for more complicated projects, that has gone wrong. So we don't want to compete with these. We want to just people to see the value of having technical input, especially on the more complicated ones. And we also think there's room for more WASH work to be done in Cambodia for us to meet the goals that the country has for itself regarding WASH. And so another reality that we have is just that our team is small. Like we introduce ourselves, there's 4 of us. It's just where we're at, so we can only do so much. But, we're really just excited about the people that God has brought to our team. And also, like I was sharing, all the volunteers who have helped have just been such a blessing and have helped kind of fill in the gaps, whether it's with our technical capacity and knowledge and helping us understand more, or just helping like Matt coming and doing the strategy document with us. So just really excited about just who God brings, and trusting him that we have the right people for what he wants us to be doing at the right time. Another reality is that, building trust takes time. And sometimes, as complicated as our designs and construction can be, building relationships with people is hard, and it takes a lot of time, and it's highly relational. There's a lot of understanding that needs to go into cultural cues and even the language. And so that's sometimes a bit of a barrier, even if we can speak some Khmer. There's just so many layers to culture to understand. And so, and it's not just building relationships with communities that takes time, but even the suppliers and these private water operators, we've been networking for many years now, and sometimes you never know where that relationship will go. But if they keep seeing your face and you keep showing up to events, then you get to build that relationship. And we've had some stories where people have reached out after maybe like a year of not being in contact with them. And so it's just exciting to see how God just allows us to continue meeting people and just giving us these opportunities to build that trust. Another reality is the funding aspect. And so this is something that we're working on, is figuring out how do we put together proposals to funding agencies. Our office has definitely made some sacrifices for us to be able to develop the WASH program to where it is today. And to move forward with these community development projects. And so we're still learning what that will look like. And we're super thrilled that UMI has chosen for the Growing Globally campaign to support developing WASH in the offices. I think this funding is going to help EMI in so many ways have offices for them. It will help EMI offices just have room to learn and really develop community WASH in their context. And so just really thankful to EMI Global for this campaign, and just excited to see what God does with this funding, and then just how the other offices develop their WASH programs through it. And so I just wanted to share a quick summary of kind of where we're heading in this next year. And so we'll continue to develop this partnership with this organization that I was sharing about earlier, and see where that goes, and how God might use that to maybe have an impact in more communities working together. We're also getting to know and build trust with this village in Samakimite, so we'll call it SMK village. And we're looking forward to potentially, after doing the WASH lessons, that will develop like more rapport with the community, and then we could start maybe moving forward in that TCD, transformational community development type model of trainings and setting up committees within a community and seeing kind of where they want to go in terms of development. We're also planning on providing construction management and operator training for that water treatment plant project that I was talking about. And then developing the M&E process. Another thing is learning how to integrate our faith and evangelism in our work. And so just seeing where and how we can use opportunities to point people to Christ in all these different projects and people that we work with. And then there's always more learning. We'll forever be learning. A few of the things that have come to mind for things to learn about in the near future is more about behavior change. Matt did a great job when he was with us to give us a good intro into what is behavior change, why is it important, why do we need to know this, but there's definitely a lot more for us to learn there. And then how to write funding proposals. So it's not anything we've done before. So learning kind of who donors are and how to submit these proposals to them, and how to share and document the impact that these projects have. And then more about community development and relations, and how that works with government and authorities, and just working with people in general in the communities here in Cambodia. And so I'm just so thankful for having this opportunity to share about what's going on in our office. And thanks for joining. This is just our summary of our 3 buckets that we've shared. And I'll give it back to you, Jason.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kathleen. Great work. I can't say enough, about the work that you and your team are doing. And I get asked occasionally, why is EMI venturing into the realm of community development? Why are we, wanting to get outside the walls? And I think, a lot of that is just encompassed in what this team is doing, and the ability to make impact directly with people and communities, and to see, the gospel go forward, and to see opportunities for discipleship, and and church planning, and for places where the church doesn't exist in buildings, where we can be able to serve communities with real needs and bring a real savior into the mix as well. And so yeah, I'm just excited to see what all is going on there. And again, yeah, Kathleen, just great job, and I'm excited to see where that goes and where it continues to grow. And that's the other thing, is that, as we are growing our community development and WASH programming, this is something that we're actively doing. So it's not something that we are thinking might be a good idea to plan one day. It is something that we're actually involved in, and really sinking our teeth into what does that look like in different contexts. And we'll see, more of our offices be able to come alongside and do similar work to what Cambodia is doing, what Alaska is doing, and grow in these efforts in getting beyond the walls of site developments. So I'm just excited to see the potential of that, and the potential of new offices that are going to be planted, and that will be doing work in communities where there's not really a church that we could partner with to do building projects. And so yeah, it's super exciting. So the main thing that we want to promote in these webinars is our Growing Globally campaign, and we just we want people to be engaged in it, to be able to give to this, to be able to go. The Cambodia team is an amazing team, and if y'all, if anybody is on here thinking about, I want to get involved with EMI, they, like Kathleen said, they need people, they need volunteers, they need staff to help with this effort and to really grow where God's leading them. And then we have amazing teams in other offices too. And so if you're interested in being a part of that work, we really want to connect you to that, and to be able to support our teams in various ways, whether it's providing training or supporting projects or being on staff in an office. For sure, we want to connect people to where God's calling them, and so we're happy to help with that. But also we can't do this effort without the giving piece, and that's a big part of our push for the next month and a half through the end of this year, is our Growing Globally campaign for this. And right now I've got the web page pulled up, and we are at about 18% of our goal of $500,000 that we want to raise in this year. I don't know how accurate that tracker is, if it changes right away. If somebody wants to test that and hit the QR code here and see if that tracker goes up, but that's where we are currently, and we know that our community, our network is a very generous network, and we see a lot of giving that happens throughout the end of the year. And so we're just believing God for that to happen, so that we can support projects like the ones that Cambodia is doing, and to see people get access to clean water, to see people get access to living water, and so that funding will go directly towards those pilot programs and projects that are happening, and will have a direct impact in communities. And so that's what the intention of that funding is to help kind of kickstart us and get us going into a way where we can show success in EMI partnering in communities and doing community development, so that we can continue to grow and replicate that and scale that in different ways. And so again, I'm excited to see where all that goes. But we ask for you to consider giving. We ask for you to consider going, and we also ask for you to pray and to knowing that this is much bigger than any individual at EMI or even EMI as an organization. That we want we want to go where God's going, and we want to see Him lead us on new paths and to do new things. And so yeah, we just want to follow His leading in that. And so we ask that you pray for our guidance in that, and pray for our teams as they're growing and building their programming for that to for all of that to happen according to His will. And that's pretty much all of the content that we have for today. But I do want to open it up as for a time of Q&A. If there are questions for the Cambodia team, I'd be happy to facilitate those. If you want to put those in the chat, we can have a little bit of a time of Q&A, just to ask, different questions of the context in Cambodia, or even questions in general about what the WASH programming around the world is going to look like. But yeah, you can again put those questions in the chat, and we'll ask those and answer them as best as we can. One of the questions I have for you, Kathleen, as people are putting their questions in the chat, is how many people are involved in or in the community that you're looking to partner in the Coming Water project?
The one with a partnership with the organization, or the WASH?
Yes.
That one. There's 300 households in that community, and there's about eight people per household, so a couple thousand.
And then the water treatment plant that you helped design and or will be helping build, how many people will that serve?
That will serve, I think it's 2,000 households.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Across 19 villages. Yeah.
So we've got a question here from Ian. How do low pressure distribution systems provide challenges and opportunities not typically faced when designing a pressurized system in the developed world?
Mark, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. The first thoughts that come to mind are, in some ways, it's lower pressure. There's not as much. When you do have leaks, it's not as much as a high pressure system. The other interesting part of it is that I guess we see, especially in the villages, the kind of peaks and troughs of water use within a day is a bit different, because it's low pressure. People actually use the water to fill their own little tank or pot, rather than just using water, for a shower on demand when they want it. So yeah, the water profile, the demand profile is a bit different through the day.
Yeah. Another question from Laurie Swanson. What is your biggest challenge in well drilling?
I'll give one reason, and Mark, if you want to add another. I'd say that there's a lack of documentation in well drilling, and so the drillers will go and just like puncture holes all over and throw pipe in and a pump and then leave, and there's not really an understanding of the soil stratigraphy and profile, and are they putting the pump at the right level, and are they even installing? Oftentimes they're not installing pipe all the way, even if the formation is not solid. So just, yeah, a lack of documentation, so that when there are issues, we don't know what's what. So I think that's a big challenge. Did you want to add anything to that, Mark?
Um, yeah, I think also it's some areas are quite remote to get the drilling rig out to, so um, they, when the drilling is happening, they want to drill quickly, get it done. If they don't get the water, then they just try somewhere else nearby, and um, so not a lot of science or thinking can happen. Sometimes things sort of get a bit just overtaken by the timeline or sense of urgency that the contractor has.
Yeah, and so would you say there's a lack of knowledge with the depth of the water producing zone, or I guess a bit of a lack of research in in actually knowing where to site the well?
Definitely. Yeah. I'd say in a village that the one where we had the issue with the pump that was broken, they drilled the well to 70 meters deep, thinking, well, we're deeper than, the household wells that are only like 20 or 40 meters deep. Because they're like, we're deeper, so we're hitting a different aquifer, but the water we were hitting was actually a shallower aquifer. And so we were drawing from the same aquifer, and there wasn't actually like more water deeper. So that was one example where just that thinking where, oh, deeper immediately means more water for some of the people, for some of the drillers, which is not necessarily the case. And so just having that understanding of kind of aquifers and different layers and what they're hitting and how much water it can produce.
You mentioned that there's a lot of organizations doing WASH work within Cambodia, and not many of them have a lot of technical staff or technical expertise in some of the things they're doing. Can you speak a little bit more to why that is, and kind of how EMI Cambodia can help fill in a gap that exists in that sector?
Yeah, I think on a bigger picture, I think the war that happened here in the 70s is a contributing factor where most of the educated people were killed. And so there's a gap in education. And so we don't have a lot of, senior engineers or senior technical people. And so people who survived and who want to help their country don't have that training and never had the opportunity to have that training, yet they still want to do what they can to help their country. And so I think that's one contributing factor. I think another factor, and I'm not really sure why, it always boggles my mind because like why they don't seek out the help, but I wonder if it's just they've kind of learned to survive, learned to figure it out on their own. But sometimes what happens is the wash work that happens is it's working, so they think it's a success, but no one's really going back in a year from then and 2 years from then and asking, is it still working? What could we do differently? Is the community still happy? And so you'll sometimes see a lot of wells that have just been abandoned or tank stands with the donor's logo on it, and it's nothing's happening there anymore. And so I think where EMI can really step in is having that solid monitoring and evaluation process and really going back to those projects and supporting the communities for longer than just a year or two, but making sure that they're well equipped and trained well to maintain whatever the system is, and that we're following up and learning continually from them, kind of just what's happening and how we can do a better job at the next one. And then also maybe even encouraging kind of intra-learning between villages in that. So I think there's a huge opportunity for EMI to help with additional technical training and helping connect communities with other communities who are doing similar projects and how they can support each other.
And follow up to that from Dustin Martin, do you think there could be an opportunity to engage with drillers in a similar way that you've engaged with private water operators?
Yes, I think that would be a really cool opportunity to get to know drillers more and kind of learn from them too, and what they've been taught and kind of where they're at, and then see if there's opportunities to support them if they're willing. I know one of the drillers we met at a previous job, he studied in India, so his company sent him to India to learn well drilling, but I'm not sure how many others have formal training. And so, yeah, that would be I think there's opportunity there.
And another question, shifting gears a little bit from Tatiana Strahan. I'm interested in teaching children wash. I'm encouraged that someone developed lessons. Will these lessons be available? Do you need more people to teach those lessons to more children?
Yeah, we're definitely open to sharing those lessons. I think in terms of teaching it, we're really using it as a tool to get to know communities more than just the lessons itself. And so for us, the strategic piece of it is just building that relationship and having a reason to be in the village, rather than just kind of widespread going around to different villages and teaching wash, because that happens a lot already here. And so that's kind of our focus. So if someone wanted to come and help do training, that'd be great. But knowing that we're not going to be going to like, many villages and doing this, because the purpose is really to go deeper and get to know a community so that we could do further community development with them, which might include more wash training for sure, especially with the adults and kind of going like further and deeper into wash training. But that's kind of where we're at right now with wash lessons.
A question from one of our other offices, EMI Mexico. Jacob Rule asks, for other EMI offices wanting to start a WASH program, from your experience, how would you start engaging with the community to discover the specific needs of an area or local context?
David, do you want to share a bit about that?
I think for Cambodia, like Kathleen has shared before, that involving with like pastors and churches is like an easier way to like get to the community, and also like involving ourselves with like different networking, like training, like watch training in or your city, or like networking event from like the government or like an exhibitions, like because like in Cambodia, this is very like very new to me, because wash is very new to me as well. So when people in Cambodia heard that Kathleen and Aaron and Mark and like of Water Engineer, they're very they really want to know more about Water Engineer and they want to talk more. So that's like a starting point for like us getting to connect to other people in the same field as well. And yes, connecting with churches and pastors is like a very easier way and like faster way to connect with community. Do you think anything else?
Yeah, because I think these pastors, maybe they're pastoring a community, but they also know the people in their neighboring communities. And so just kind of having an in to one sort of area, that you can be introduced to other communities through that. So just keep talking to people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the key there is networking and just understanding who all is working within each context and what some of those gaps are. And I think Kathleen and the team there have done a great job over the past few years of really networking with different organizations, and I think that's a huge piece of where they are today, because it enables them to be positioned in a place where they can fill in gaps and be able to know where those gaps are, but then to be able to build out of that doing community development in an excellent way, and to develop a reputation within those networks, where they then are seen as experts in specific areas of the sector. And so I think that's the same everywhere that we operate. We have to really be into those spaces where others are doing that work and networking. So we are at time. I know there's a couple other questions that I haven't gotten to, but we will follow up. We can follow up with those via email, and I can send those to the team to answer. It will probably be tomorrow before you get an answer, because I didn't mention this. It is almost midnight there, or it is midnight there in Cambodia, and so we appreciate you staying up, Kathleen, David, Mark, Aaron. We appreciate you staying up to present to us and to share what's going on. And yeah, just are super excited to see how that continues to grow. So thank you for presenting. Thank you all for joining today, and for being a part of EMI growing globally and our effort to get beyond the walls. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will see you again soon.